What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the second ever episode of, I don't know, our Best Bet show. We're just going to call it the Best Bet show with Maddie and Austin. You can say the full names if you want. We'll get that intro down sooner or later. Austin, the NBA is officially back. Are you happy? Are you excited? What are your
I'm
emotions right
juiced,
now?
man. Honestly, waking up, I'm looking at my phone, nothing to bet on. I'm just like, I got the itch. I'm fired up, honestly.
Yeah.
24 hours away, we get basketball. You know what I mean? You take it for granted almost. Like when you're in the run, 12 days go by of NBA, you kind of are like every day doing the same thing. And then when you don't have it for a week, you're like, damn, I want it back.
Yeah. It's almost like you don't know what you have until it's gone. It's kind of like that.
Right. You got to appreciate it, man. You know what I mean? All the negative stuff. Oh, I want baseball back. You see it all the time. You got to just appreciate it.
That's true. Because I was like that way with football, and then it's gone, and now I want football back. So you know what it is. It is what it is. We do have a 9-game slate to talk about. We do have 2 plays today. Austin's got one. I got one. And we're going to talk about some other games on this as well. So we're going to talk about the best bets for February 23rd. Now, it is a little, take it easy going back in after the All-Star break. Let them kind of get their chemistry back. Let some guys get back in the groove. But I'm going to talk about my play first. And it's a team that I just love backing at home, and that is the 76ers. My pick is the 76ers -4 against the Memphis Grizzlies. We all know the Grizzlies, dominant home team, number 2 in the West. They're 24-5 at home, but they are 11-17 on the road, and those splits are just too much for me. And especially when you have a Sixers team that's 23-8 at home, and it's just a dominant team looking to kind of compete in the East, try to maybe catch the Bucks or the Celtics, and get a better spot for better home field or home court advantage for the playoffs. I think it's a good spot for them. I'm always going to fade the Grizzlies on the road, especially against good teams. Um, Even with their wins and losses, if you look at the spreads and look at the Sixers, they're 21-10 at home to the spread in the regular season, and if you look at the losses for the Memphis Grizzlies, they're 9-18-1 against the spread. So not only are they losing, they're not covering their spread. And 4 is a close enough number for me where I like it. I know I think I'd take this up to like maybe a -5, maybe a 5.5, but I wouldn't do anything higher than 6. I think Embiid has himself a game. They did lose earlier in December against the Grizzlies in Memphis, which we talked about again, Memphis being so good at home. I think this is a different outcome again in Philly this time. So I'm all over the Sixers. Austin, you could either agree or disagree, whatever you want to do. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's an interesting spot, especially with Philly and Cleveland being fighting for that 3-4 seed, both 38-19 and then 38-23. So the Cavs have just played a few more games, but both are kind of fighting for that 3 and 4 spot. And I feel like in the East, you definitely would rather have that 3 seed and play like a team like the Hawks, Wizards, Heat, instead of probably likely landing the Knicks or the Nets if you fall to
Yeah.
4. Going to be a tougher series, but definitely a good spot. I think Philly obviously is a monster at home. I think also with the Grizzlies, like they've had a lot of different guys shifted in and out of lineups, with Brooks getting suspended for a few, Baines battled some injuries, Steven Adams is out, Jaren Jackson Jr. We got to see consistency out of him. He just got his first All-Star nod, so I think it's a good spot, especially with the struggle on the road.
Yeah.
So I like it. You get
Thank,
push potential at 4.
it's true. Thank you for making me feel a little better. You know what's going to happen? They're gonna get 2 free throws at the end of the game, make one to cover to push at 4, and they're gonna miss the 5, and then I'm just gonna push. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
I'm calling it
well,
right
hopefully
now.
not, but I think it's a good spot. I think it's a good slate. I like taking home favorites, you know what I mean, when there's small numbers like this, especially with good teams against the spread. It's
Yeah.
just a smart strategy right now.
All right. Well, there's mine. We did promise the viewers you'd have a play of the day as well. So why don't you get into yours?
This is coming from a Portland native, but I'm backing the Kings today, -5 or -5.5. I think it's a spot where Sacramento's just due for a revenge game. They lost earlier this season, 115-108. I like what the Kings have been doing, and even though I don't think Sacramento's necessarily going to be a great playoff team, I think they still are one of those teams that can win games to push for it. Portland's without Simons, Nurkic likely out, Jeremy Grant coming back from a concussion, so A lot of key players missing. I think it's one of those spots where Dame probably has to drop 40 plus to even give him a chance. And if he doesn't, you put yourself in a really good spot. Kings much more consistent right now. They're healthier. It's just a good spot. Both teams are 14-14 against the spread at home, and Portland's 14-14 against the spread on the road. So not a huge factor, but could be a good spot.
Yeah, I do see Portland their last 10 on the road to the spread is also 2-8. So that bodes well for you. Recency bias. They haven't really been playing too hot on the road. And I do think after the All-Star break, Lillard got his, All-Star game stuff in. He won the 3-point contest. And he's been trying to win stuff for so long. He got his due. I love Dame time, but he could drop 50 and they could still lose. So at the end of the day.
Well, and rightfully so. They're just not in a win now. As sad as it is, like they're just not good enough. So they have those first round picks this offseason. I kind of think I wouldn't be surprised if they shut it down and just, you know what I mean, play for
Yeah.
next year, I guess, like they do every year, So it's
We are
definitely a weird spot, but like Dame will have to drop 40 plus for them to even have a chance. Drew Eubanks and Sabonis. I think Sabonis could have a monster night. De'Aaron Fox is going to get his, like, just matchup wise, Portland's in a tough spot, especially if Jeremy Grant can't go.
Yeah. And I think the Kings they're one of those fun teams to watch. Like, I like the Fox and Sabonis combo, and they have a lot of depth. They have guys who can put the ball in the basket. They do some nice stuff offensively. And I think they're just a good team to watch. And yeah, I think you're right. The Trailblazers, they're basically, what are they, 12 seed right in front of the Lakers, but Lakers made moves. I think the Lakers jumped them in the standings, and then you're basically cooked. You might as well just drop it and wait for next year. So I'm right there with you. Those are our two plays, two home favorites to start these, I guess, second half of the season or post All-Star break. We are going to talk about a few more games. It is a 9-game slate. Again, probably being a little cautious that first game back. But we could go through. We talked about the Nuggets and Cavs a little bit before we kind of hopped on the recording. I like the spot for the Cavs at like a -2. You could play like the money line maybe if you really are scared of like the little mini spread. It is a little worrisome if Jamal Murray's back, which I think you said he is.
Yeah, he said today that he's good to go. So
if he's good to go, I wouldn't touch it. I don't think I would touch either side. I can see both teams figuring it out. So it's kind of where I'm at. I don't know what your thoughts are.
yeah, I mean, Denver at home is obviously dominant. They're on the road for this one. So, I mean, you have a chance. I guess I'd probably back Cleveland if I had to pick a lean. I probably wouldn't play it. It's hard to play against Jokic, even though Cleveland does have the personnel to at least give him a decent look. Like Jared Allen and Mobley should do okay against him. I mean, he's still going to get his triple-double. He's the MVP. So, yeah, definitely a good spot. I think it's probably the game of the night. It'll probably be the best game.
I hope so. I like seeing, that sounded really weird come out of my mouth. I like when like 4 and 5. I almost said I like when big men play basketball, but like I like when you see guys like Jokic who's just so dominant, and then you got guys like Evan Mobley, and their whole roster, their size is just very big. And I personally have always kind of been like a little bit of a Cavs fan when they drafted Darius Garland and stuff. And what they've done with their team, I think is just awesome. So they're going to be like a baby face for me in the playoffs. The team I'm going to root for. And I think them testing themselves against teams like the Nuggets is a great test for the playoffs coming in the Eastern Conference, at least.
I agree. And they're completely different teams. Cavs play like the slowest paced basketball in the NBA, and Denver wants to run the whole time and put up 140 points. So I'm interested. That's why I'm not playing it. I'm a little interested to see how this outcome goes. You know what I mean? Because one of them is going to have to match the other's tempo.
Yeah.
So should be
especially with Jamal
interesting.
Murray coming back, the tempo is going to be through the roof.
Right. Like, and even with Jokic bringing it up, he's running it up a lot. You know what I mean? So, like, they're trying to score quick. They're trying to get 3-pointers to MPJ, Murray. Like, they're trying to get their guys going. So, should be a good game. Should be a really
I'm
good
all
game.
for that game. I think you should find some good props in that game to watch. I think some SGPs will be built around there.
Definitely.
But it depends who controls the pace, who sets the tempo. I think you're right. There is a night game, a night cap, I guess, if you will. The Warriors and the Lakers. Any thoughts here? I'm like a little bit biased. I'm personally a big LeBron fan. I love what they did at the deadline, getting D'Lo. I know they got Rui a little bit beforehand, but they got a lot of other pieces to try to make the jump. Like whatever you had, it wasn't working, so they just had a mini roster turnover at the break, and then that's what I love when teams do, because it's like they knew one guy just getting D'Lo and still having Westbrook here and not getting Rui, this guy and this guy. It's not going to work, so you had to kind of do a little mini overhaul. And I think with Steph Curry out, I think the Lakers with their new roster has a better team, but 4.5 is just a little bit for me. But I do think they pull it out. I don't know what your thoughts are. I know you hate the Lakers.
Yeah. So I went to the Lakers versus Portland game like a week ago, and Portland won by like 30. LeBron didn't play. But just what I've noticed, like chemistry issue, this team clearly has not played games together. Like
Yeah,
it's the worst basketball I've watched. Like it looked terrible. D'Angelo Russell doesn't look like himself. He's afraid to shoot on that lineup. Like AD just posted up and tried to get putbacks. Like there was nobody they played through. Malik Beasley was a non-factor, and I thought he was going to be a double-digit scorer off the bench for him. Jared Vanderbilt looks uncomfortable, doesn't look like the same player for the Jazz. Like, and it's tough for them, especially with LeBron not playing, because it's hard for them to like actually get chemistry and get like their rotation going. You know what I mean? Because they have a bunch of role players on paper: Rui, Lonnie Walker, Troy Brown. Like you don't really know who their rotation's gonna be any given night. So that's what scares me a little bit. I like that they blew it up because what they had wasn't working. So at least they brought in some new pieces. But I'm just a little concerned because they haven't played together. And if LeBron keeps missing games, like it's not going to get better. You know what I mean? Like they definitely
100%.
need their guys to be full go so they can get comfortable playing, because they have talent on paper. Like they have good role players, like so I think that's what's toughest for me. Obviously, Warriors without Curry is at a disadvantage. I would probably lean the Lakers money line here, but I don't know if I'd take the spread at 4.5 or 5.
Yeah. Well, I think again, you're right. Like these teams that have made, big roster turnovers and roster changes, to kind of be wary of them. At least player prop wise, you don't know how they're going to run their offense and what they're trying to do with these new pieces. So if I can give you any sort of advice, it'd be to kind of be careful a little bit the first couple games back, and then once you have their identity, you'll know going further. But that's basically it. Do you have anything else you want to say, Austin? Anything you want to share, or is that it?
No, I think we're good. I'm juiced up, man. It's going to be a great week. I think we finished the last 22, 21 games of the season strong. I'm excited, man. I'm excited to start seeing the race. These next couple weeks are going to be a lot of fun. That's what we all enjoy basketball for, Like the first few months are kind of guys sitting out, nobody's really trying, but especially with how tight the race is this season, like I feel like teams are definitely going to let their guys go. So it should be good basketball.
Yeah, this is when I usually dive in the most. Like I watch the NBA, I go, I'm aware of what's going on, but like I don't really go into it until I know there's meaningful basketball being played, which is basically where we're at now. So I'm excited. I'm pumped. I'm pumped to do the show with you guys. Give us a like, give us a comment, let us know your favorite play of the day. Just show us some love. Tell your friend, tell your grandma, tell your neighbor. I don't really care. Tell anyone about this. Appreciate the love and support. That is going to end our second ever Best Bets episode. We'll see you guys next week. As always, best of luck on your bets. I'll see you guys next time.